After my last video, a lot of people had something to say. You need a tractor, you need a trailer, you need hay equipment. They're not wrong, but they're not right either. Because it's not about if you need equipment, it's about when that equipment actually makes you money. If you build this thing in the wrong order, you're not running cows. You're feeding equipment. Most people don't fail with cows because they don't work hard. They fail because they build it backwards. They buy the equipment first, and then try to make the cows pay for it. And that's when it breaks down. Because cows are supposed to support the operation, not the other way around. If your cows can't pay for it, you probably bought it too early. Unless you're going to the bank and borrowing large sums of money, or you've sold a business and you're starting this that way, this may not apply to you. This is going to be for the person that's wanting to start out small. The first thing we're going to look at is starting. You really have to focus on grazing. Maybe you've had some time to improve pasture before you ever buy any cows. This is something you need to be thinking about. Fencing. We've got to make sure our fences are good, especially if we've got road frontage. If you do have road frontage, something that you really have to consider is insurance, because if one of these animals gets out and gets hit by a car, you're liable. Water access. We have to have access to water. And minimal handling. When you're starting out, you don't have to have the best of the best. You can have some minimal pens. You don't have to go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars on pipe corrals right off the bat. This is where most people should start. You can borrow, you can hire some stuff done. The next level, the efficiency level. In that efficiency column, we have a tractor, maybe. Man, did I have a lot of people fighting that last video about that, saying you absolutely had to have one. Yeah, they're nice, but in this starting stage, there are other ways to feed. There's many things you can do without a tractor. A trailer. Had a lot of people arguing with me about a trailer. They're great. They're nice to have. They're needed at some point. But in this starting stage, not necessary all the time. And you've got nobody that can help you out, maybe. Feeding tools. We've got some more cows. We're needing to be able to get our chores done quicker, right? We might be working in town. You know, we've got to make our time work out in that way. So we start looking at feeding tools, you know, maybe not a full-blown feed truck at this point. You go buy a bale spear that mounts onto your ball in your truck. I mean, there's many things you can do there. Now, this is where equipment starts to make sense. Not because you need it to exist, but because it makes you more efficient. Level 3, and that's scale or ownership, where you need to be owning more tools, more equipment. Now in this stage, you've been through the starting, the efficiency, and now you're starting to scale up. Maybe you've picked up some hay ground and you're looking at buying some hay equipment because it may make sense in that scenario. Maybe the first thing you buy is a mower and a rake and you hire your baling done. You know, you do that for a couple of years while you're putting back some money to buy that expensive baler. That's when this full setup comes in. You know, maybe it does start to make sense to have a full setup, to have everything, and to doing everything in-house. Now this takes time. This isn't going to happen in a year, 2 years, maybe 5 years. But these are some simple steps to move through in this process, starting from ground zero. And in this stage, this is where the cattle can actually support the equipment. The problem is most people start here instead of starting here. On our place here, we've had to make these same decisions, and the answer hasn't always been the same. Take this 320 acre pasture here. Normally I can run about 70 animal units a year and make it work. There are some years that I could run more. There's years that I could run less. But overall, for these conditions where we're at, 70 animal units is about the right number. Now that changes year to year based on things like rainfall, how much hay we produce on our hay ground, and we have to make adjustments at times. Now I don't like to sell cows, and most of the time I don't. So we usually choose to supplement more during those times. Whether that's more hay, more protein, whatever, that's the path that I go. Just because those conditions change doesn't mean I have to jump and make changes immediately here. I have to step back, regroup, look at the numbers, and see what's going to make the most sense for the year to come. Some years owning more equipment makes sense, but some years it doesn't. For us, we've got good neighbors. We've got great family, and we help one another out. I have equipment that some of my people don't. They have equipment that I don't. And we're able to help each other out in those situations. So I encourage anybody getting into this business to make connections. Get out, go to where the ranchers are at. Make those connections, because you never know who can help you and then who you're going to be able to help. Because trust me, we all have to have support. There's never been a time on this ranch that we've hired our hay out to be baled. We've always done it since I've been around anyway, and that's 50 years. But the more that I'm in control and the more that I'm running this place, I don't know if that's the best option. I haven't sat down and ran those numbers just yet on what it would be like to hire our hay out versus us do it ourselves, versus baling on shares with somebody. There's all kinds of ways you can do this. If you don't want to spend the money on a baler, you know, that's a big expense. You can buy a mower and a rake, and you can do your mowing and raking and hire somebody to come in and bale. That may be a better option. I'm unsure at this point, but I'm sure I'm going to make a video on that in the future. Have I leaned on other people's equipment at times because it made more financial sense to borrow than to own it? Yes, I have. It's okay to ask for help sometimes. You know, if you load up on equipment and have a bad year, that's when people get in trouble. Same place, same cows, different year, different answer. That's why this isn't a checklist, it's a decision process. I've had people say, you need a tractor, you need a trailer, you need a way to do this and that. And I agree. But those things are not mutually exclusive with starting smaller or doing it different early on. Don't let people tell you you have to own everything on day one to do this right, because it's just simply not the facts. The fact is, you can start out small, focus on your grass, focus on your animals. Look at this baby right there. And then focus on growing from there. It doesn't take $200,000 worth of equipment to get into this business. I just see a lot of people pushing others in that direction. And if you're someone that just has a few acres and you want to run a butcher cow or two, do it. Don't let some of these people in the comments or out in the world keep you from pursuing that, because it may become something that you really love to do and one day expand into your own herd. Then you get to deal with that. Don't they know I'm trying to make a video here? You don't build a cattle operation with equipment. You build it with grass, cows, and decisions. And if you get the order right, remember, everything else falls into place. And if it works for you, it's for you.